Alright, guys, if you're using GitHub Enterprise Importer and you migrate, like, say you had 100 repositories, you migrated from your private GitHub Enterprise self-hosted server to github.com. When you first migrate all that stuff using GitHub Enterprise, you're going to be the sole owner of the repo. Plus, all the repositories are going to be private. So if you're doing it for like a whole group or department, all your repos, here's a quick way using GitHub CLI to change all the internal or all the private repos that you have migrated using GitHub Enterprise Importer that were by default set by private to internal, so all the internal people of your group can have access to it. So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to, and something I probably neglected in the last couple of videos, for running these PowerShell scripts, you're going to have to set the execution policy to remote signed. If you've never run a PowerShell script before, and that way it'll allow your local machine to run the PowerShell scripts. But you also will need, for this one, you're going to have to import the module, the PowerShell module, PowerShell for GitHub. You're going to have to execute this command right here, import module PowerShell for GitHub. So those are the main two things. Plus, you're going to have GitHub CLI, which I mentioned in my previous videos, installed. So you're going to have the personal access token, which I keep mentioning in my videos. You can hard code it like in here, but I prefer to use an environment variable so it's not in my code. Again, you can change the environment variable to whatever and then change it accordingly to the script. Just whatever makes sense to you. You need to understand what you're doing when you're changing the script. But this is grabbing the environment variable, GitHub personal access token, and this access token has to have admin privileges to modify what access you're setting for your repos. Now, I've got the organization, I should have set this as an environment variable. That's okay. Nobody else has access to this organization except people in our organization. So set your organization name, and then the organization can be an account too. If it's like a private repo, this can be an account. So if you had all your GitHub repos to public, and then all of a sudden you're shutting down your GitHub site and you want to set them all to private, you can send them all to private using this script. All right, so what this thing will do will go out. It's going to take your account or organization name. It's going to go out and look for all the repos, and it's going to do a do while loop. And for each one, it's going to grab the URL for that repo for each individual repo, and it's going to set the visibility equals to internal right here. So you can change this to private. You can change it, go and look and see what the different options are for visibility for your repo. If it's listed, you can set it in this script. But I needed a quick way. Instead of going into each repo, I had over 100. And instead of going to each repo and setting the visibility per repo, this is a whole lot easier. Just go ahead and run this script, tell it the organization name, and just let the script set all to internal, because all the people in my group are developers and they're going to be making changes to the code and they had to have access. So that's why I created a script. I wanted to share this in case somebody else has the same situation and they'd like a quick and dirty way to change that, I've been an IT person since the 80s, and I look for efficient ways of doing things. I don't like doing things the hard way if I can help it. And sometimes, it's so easy to overthink stuff. Sometimes, if you don't even think about it, you're doing the hard way without trying to, can I do this a better way? And this is a better way of changing all your repos in one organization or account to internal, and then you're giving everybody access to that. All right, I'm going to go and my next video, I'm going to talk about collaborators. So appreciate you watching, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video.